Hey, it's Ryan Barton-Grimley, and I am done with that earlier tagline. Anyway, I really want to do a bunch of videos about screenwriting, but it occurred to me that we should probably talk about something that affects all of us, including myself, and that is time management for creatives. Let's get to work. So when it comes to time management for creatives, something I personally struggle with a lot, there are a couple key ways to talk about this. One, philosophy. I have a very specific philosophy about this, and I think it's really helped me. Hopefully it'll help you too. Two, tools. This could include apps, books, whatever you need. I'll talk about the ones that I use. Hopefully some of that will work for you. Three, an example. Wait, Ryan, why are we talking about time management for creatives when you just said you wanted to make a bunch of videos about screenwriting? As a creative, one of the biggest things we struggle with and one of the biggest barriers to us really feeling fulfilled, finishing our projects and getting them out there is time management. The bottom line is you need to be able to carve out time for your creative work to get anything done. And you need to be able to do that on a consistent basis. Number one, philosophy. Goals versus systems. I don't believe in goals. I love systems. That's the big secret, guys. I don't believe in goals. I think they're hogwash. I think goals are the biggest scam in the world. I cannot stand them. I feel like they're just a giant door that's going to open at some point in time and make you feel bad. And I think you should avoid them at all costs. You should avoid all goals at all costs. But seriously, goals are all about setting this very specific endpoint, and I think you're just destined to let yourself down or overdo it, and then you'll get a big head and then you'll fail on the next one. So instead of doing that, I prefer systems. So here's what I'm talking about. You've got your goal. I want to finish this screenplay in 3 months. Okay, so what? How the hell do you do that? How about this? I'm gonna write for the first 2 hours that I am awake every day until the screenplay is finished, regardless of how long it takes. There you go. There's no failing that. There's just showing up or not showing up. Obviously, the fact that you're picking to do it in the first 2 hours of the day is totally arbitrary. You could do it in the middle of the night. You could do it in 15-minute chunks. Whatever you choose. All great thinkers use systems. Nietzsche, Darwin, every successful creative I've ever met uses systems. They do not set goals. Of course, there are deadlines. That is a different thing. Without systems, your chance of meeting any deadline is just practically impossible. Systems will make your life better. It's not to say that you have to adhere to them 100%, but at the minimum, create them for yourself. So it just takes the guesswork out of things. It de-emotionalizes everything. If you set a goal and you fail to hit that goal, suddenly you're in this emotional state. Oh, I'm a failure. How am I going to get back on the horse the next day and start creating again? This is all this garbage that's just in the way. You don't need to deal with this. You just need to show up and bang out the pages, edit the movie, paint the painting, write the song, whatever it is, for a certain amount of time per day that you can systemize, that you can measure. Look, I showed up for 2 hours a day, 5 days a week for a month. That's 10 hours per week. That's 40 hours per month. You can write a full screenplay in that amount of time. I'm telling you, you can do it. That's my point regarding systems. Goals, bye-bye. Systems, hell yeah. Let's talk about tools. There are some key tools that I use. I love this book called The Pomodoro Method. Basically, the idea is that instead of arbitrarily sitting down to spend some time doing things, you break up your time into very specific chunks where you work and very specific chunks where you rest. The author's concept is that Pomodoro in Italian is like a little bite. It's just like a little taste of something. They recommend doing 20 minutes of heavy work, 10 minutes of rest, 20 minutes of heavy work, 10 minutes of rest. You could do an hour-long Pomodoro, then take 20 minutes off. So the idea is to do intense work and then take a break so that your brain remains fresh. So the second thing that I use to help me keep track of these Pomodoros and also keep me away from my phone is this app called Forest. I love this app. It's so awesome. You can set a timer for 20 minutes and it basically locks your screen. Not only that, it plants a digital tree, and if you open your screen, it will kill the tree. So this really works on me because I'm a bit of an environmentalist and I love trees. So planting a tree to me is a really big deal psychologically, and then killing it just absolutely kills me. So it kind of inspires me to stick to it. So what I do is I set a 25-minute timer, I grow a tree, and then I can set a 5-minute timer for resting. I get some coffee. Shout out to my kids. They bought this for me for Father's Day. I mean, that is ridiculous. And then I set another one and I get to work. And before you know it, you've grown a bunch of trees and you've grown a forest. So the really cool thing about this app is if you grow enough trees, they plant a real tree out in the world in your name. I think that's amazing. Another tool I really love is this app called 8Fit. I always try to get at least 20 minutes of exercise per day. I feel like that's really important. If you're not taking care of your personal health, how are you going to create properly? How are you going to be productive? Another app that I really love is Headspace. There are a whole lot of free meditations on there. Yeah, whatever, Ryan, some hippy-dippy meditation BS. I don't meditate every day. I try to. I never am able to quiet my mind for more than 5 minutes. People who say they're able to do 30 minutes a day, obviously they're billionaires and time is nothing for them. I'm not that guy. Another thing I really love is this mushroom coffee by Four Sigmatic. All you do is boil some hot water, add the little packet in there in the mug. You are firing on all cylinders for like 4 hours. It's insane. Do not drink it after 12 noon because you will be awake till midnight or 4 a.m. You will never sleep again. Trust me, I did it and I paid for it. Another book I really recommend you read, listen to, ingest, really absorb as a creative is Deep Work by Cal Newport. This book really changed the way that I thought about the time I spent working. And it's really important as a creative to learn how to devote your time and focus to your creativity and not get distracted by the outside world, by social media, by apps, by podcasts, by emails, by calls, texts, the news, whatever. You need to shut that out and get your work done. Another amazing book is The War of Art by Steven Pressfield. This talks about the struggle of getting it done and how it is war between good and evil. It is a mythological struggle. And I love the analogy of it being a war. And I think when we talk about my daily schedule in just a second here, you'll see how I approach it in a very similar way. 3, an example. So this is my insanely rigorous and albeit pretty embarrassing daily schedule. I get up at 6 a.m. every single weekday. Granted, I have to set the alarm for 5:45 and hit the snooze button twice, but by 6 a.m. I am up and I am boiling water and making that mushroom coffee we were talking about earlier. And by 6:15, I'm sitting at my desk and I'm already writing, and I sit there for 2 hours writing with no distractions. I use the Forest app to help me do that. I grow a tree for 30 minutes, guys. It's magical, and a lot of the time it's before the sun has even risen. I set a 5-minute timer for a break. I rinse, repeat. I've done that 4 times by 8:15. I immediately save my work and restart my computer and get the heck out of my office and go wake up my family. And have a little bit of family time, guys. It's really important to do that, you know? So after 45 minutes of doing that, at around 9 o'clock, I try to bang out a half-hour workout. So at 10 o'clock, I get right back in my office and I set another timer for 30 minutes on the Forest app. I usually spend this 2-hour chunk to do editing, whether it be on the feature or YouTube video like this, some kind of intense technical creative hybrid work. At 12, I break for lunch, just like a mercenary. I just break for lunch, turn off the computer, restart it, and I go eat lunch. I do that for about a half an hour, and then I get right back in here, and I split this up between admin work, maybe some Zoom calls, social media, marketing, etc. Stuff that doesn't take as much creative focus, but it's still a lot of busy work. So at about 3 p.m., I've basically done my 3 big chunks of work for the day. And I try to take a little break for about a half an hour there, maybe go walk around the block, kind of recenter myself. Sometimes I'll use the Headspace app to do that. And then I wrap things up for the day, and then I'm done by 4 p.m. and I go and have family time. I make dinner with my wife and my kids. We watch movies or TV shows, play board games. At around 9 p.m., I like to shut it all down. I put my phone down. I don't really look at it again after 9 p.m. till the next morning. My alarm is already set. I also like to try to read for about a half an hour before I go to sleep. Right now, I'm reading a book about the Monty Python sketch comedy group, you know, the life of Brian, the meaning of life, all this stuff, the flying circus. I love to read books about art, biographies, not that much fiction, but. So about 10:30, I like to turn that light off and I like to go to sleep. Your brain needs to process all the work that you've been doing. If you do not take care of your sleep cycle, trust me, your work cycle and your personal life cycle will be a mess. Get some sleep. So again, just to recap, we talked about number 1, philosophy. Basically, goals versus systems and why I pick systems. Then we talked about number 2, all the apps and the stuff that I use on a daily basis to keep myself fresh and creative and get a ton of work done. And then number 3, we talked about what my day looks like and how insane and embarrassing that is as an example of how I use systems and all of this stuff to get that whole mess of work done. So lastly, I want to urge you to really carve out your time and get creative and get serious. Just pick something you want to do and start working on it bit by bit, methodically, carving out time daily. Just do it. It all adds up and you're going to feel so good when you're done with it. I hope something I've said today is helpful. I hope some of it sticks. Maybe the example of my day will jog something loose. Anyway, again, thank you so much for tuning in. Share this with somebody that may need it. Steal from it. Use it in any way that works for you. I'm just about giving it back and putting it back out there and just help as many creatives as I can. Again, this was Time Management for Creatives. Hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, and I will see you in the future. Manage that time.